Hi everyone, I'm Joanna Penn from thecreativepenn.com and this is Ruth Ann Nordin. Ruth is a romance writer with 18 books so far in several series and many more in the pipeline. Ruth is doing brilliantly with her independent author sales through Amazon and Smashwords and has recently written a little ebook helping introvert writers with marketing, which we're talking about today. So welcome, Ruth.
Hi, Joanna.
It's great to talk to you finally. Okay, so why don't you start by telling us just a bit more about, what's been happening for you and your books and your brilliant success?
Well, I started out in 2002 with vanity presses. And from there until 2007, I spent $10,000 and I probably earned $300 back. So I don't like vanity presses because of that. But then I came across April Hamilton, and she told me about Creative Space, where I could make paperbacks. And then I stumbled on the Creative Penn in 2009, and that was early in 2009, because I got Author 2.0, and that's when I found out about Kindle and Smashwords, and I went ahead and uploaded it, and in December of 2009, I made my first $100 off Kindle, and I was excited. And with Smashwords, I didn't get anything until May of 2010. But to be fair, I had everything free at that time up there. But the thing is, and a lot of authors will tell me, well, I don't need Smashwords. I don't need to go through my Smashwords distribution. And I'll say that's a big mistake because fast forward now, and I don't know if we just lost connection.
No, all good.
Okay, yeah, and I was going to say in December of 2000, last December, well, let's just say in 2010, for Kindle, I brought in $15,500. And from Smashwords and all the distribution channels, I brought in $2,860. But then, now in 2011, and this is projecting out to May, because I see, the statements are coming in for May already. And for Kindle, I'm getting $12,000. But then you look at Smashwords, and I'm at $23,000.
Wow.
Just jumped. All of a sudden, yeah. So I guess with Smashwords, stick it out, because it really does come back. It's earning me more than I ever made on Kindle at this point.
That's fantastic. So tell us a bit more about the type of books you write as well.
Well, they're not preachy, but I guess I consider them Christian romances, except my husband and wife characters have sex. And no Christian romances have that. They always have sex behind closed doors, but I go ahead and open it up. And that's my niche, though, and that's what readers like. I found it's just a little different.
Yeah. No, it's brilliant. And I read something on your blog and I wanted to ask you about it. You said that kind of originally there was a little bit of a stigma about writing romance and that you overcame that. Maybe you could just comment on that.
You mean in my family? My family and friends? Yep. To be a real writer, I had to write something else. And I was just writing trash. I was writing porn. I heard all of that. Well, you're not a real writer because you're just writing romance. And you can write romance. And that's why for the longest time I wrote fantasy and I wrote thrillers for the longest time because I just couldn't bring myself to, write it. But finally I decided to forget it. I'm more interested in romance. And then the next thing I know, I'm writing 4 to 5 books a year. Whereas before it would take me a year to write a book. And I think it's the passion.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important because I had the same thing. I didn't write fiction for so long because I thought I had to write, a prize-winning masterpiece. But, to be a real writer. And now I'm, writing thrillers. I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. The key is to enjoy what you're doing. Because if you don't, I think it shows up in your work if you don't enjoy it.
Oh, definitely. Right, so, and the other question, before we move into marketing, how do you write so prolifically with all your kids? And, you just showed me your computer in your kitchen there. What's your writing schedule like?
It's pretty much whenever the kids are, sitting down for 5 to 10 minutes, I'll run to the computer and write something in. So sometimes I can write in 15 to 20 minute blocks when they're around, but I have the ideas going through my head all the time while I'm messing with them. But then, they have school, now that they're school age. What I tend to do, you'd think I'd write during the day, but I like to stay up late at night and write. So I just nap during the day. And what really helps is having a word count goal. If usually between 1,000 to 3,000 words is what I aim for. 3,000 is a really good day. 1,000 is what I'm more likely to come up with. So, as long as I can meet the goal, and then I can go to bed.
That's brilliant. I love that. You're writing in 15-minute chunks sometimes.
And it does pull you out of the story, and you have to get back in. Yeah, it's a challenge sometimes.
And you're writing four books a year, you said, on that.
Yeah, 4 to 5 is what I've been publishing. So, and, writing. So usually, whatever, like in November, I had 2 books done, and right now we're finally getting into where I'm publishing them.
Yeah. And I also read on your blog that you actually asked your readers what they wanted next. How's that working for you?
It goes great as long as they're not trying to tell me how to do a plot or a character. Because the story evolves on its own. So I have to sometimes explain that. But, if I'm having trouble with a cover or a title of a book, or maybe even trying to sum up the book, they'll throw out things, out there to help me out. And I've had a couple of polls. And one of the more recent ones was, which book would you rather have me do on my first draft blog? And then so they voted. And it was pretty close, so I decided I better do the other one later this year. I was going to have some upset people, because some of them were just like, I want this book. But, that's great, because it means they're excited.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's amazing. So, okay, so let's talk about you've just done this little ebook that you've put on Smashwords, which is all about, your ideas on marketing, and it's great. So let's get into it. Let's start with the book itself. What do you recommend for your own book so that it sells well?
Well, I think I did feats. And I always think if you can get something even short out there for free, that it gives a taste of what you're doing. But see, that's also where the first draft blog comes in too. I've started doing ads, and I think the ads, they work best if you're kind of known out there, and if you're targeting your specific genre. Because I've heard that, the Facebook ad was a waste of time when I tried it. And that's what I heard before. I heard Kindle board ads were a waste of time. I wouldn't do that. But since I do romance, Coffee Time Romance, and it's just a book cover ad for $10 for the month. But that became my best-selling book for 2 months in a row.
Wow.
So, and that was published back in 2009, so I was surprised that it did as well as it did.
No, that's great. And what about book covers? What do you do for book covers?
Well, I usually go to dreamstime.com. And you can get a cover for about $10 or underneath. And, but I have a book cover program. I spent $199 on it, and it's Book Cover Pro. I think that's what it was called. But, it's been great because you just throw the image in, you throw the title in, you throw your name in, and then you're done. And it makes it into an ebook for you.
That's fantastic. And do you still do create space for all your books, or are you just doing ebook publishing?
I do paperbacks, even though they don't earn me anything. I might sell 11 paperbacks in 1 month, and I probably make, $20 or maybe $10. So it's not like a big amount. But I do it because sometimes I like to do giveaways, and that's for my readers to have an autographed copy. Or sometimes my proofreaders, to thank them, I'll give them a paperback copy of the book for taking the time to proofread my book. And also just to have it on my shelf.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Okay, let's talk about blogging, because you've actually had a number of different blogs, but you also mentioned your first draft blog. So maybe you could explain that and how that works in your marketing.
Well, I got the idea off one of the podcasts that you had, actually. And the guy was recommending podcasting. And he's like, okay, if you can't podcast, then do a first draft blog. And I'm like, well, I can do that a lot better than podcasting. And I did my podcasting, and I failed miserably because I was like losing subscribers. 5 a day, I was losing them. So I said, forget it, it's not working. But yeah, the first draft blog is just taking a story, and then 500 words is what I put up every day. And, it's actually pretty easy. But sometimes, if you're not in the mood, I may take up to 3 to 4 hours to come up with 500 words to put on there. But yeah, usually it takes about an hour of my time.
Yeah. And is that really a first draft, or is that a tidied up, bit of text?
Oh, no, it's my first draft. All the mistakes that I make are right in there. And, if I have inconsistencies, and that's another nice thing, is sometimes my readers will point out, oh, I see this or I see that. And that helps me further down the road because I don't have to do as much proofing on my own in the future because I have them all chipping in for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my first draft. That's how it really looks.
And how do you think your blogs have actually helped with marketing?
I think it's been great for just the exposure and word of mouth. My first draft blog is my most popular blog. And I think it's because people are seeing what I'm writing. And sometimes they will put in input. I just finished a book, Brave Beginnings, and someone's like, oh, I would just love it if this character had twins. So I'm like, okay. I went ahead, and I wasn't going to do twins, but I went ahead and did twins. But I think sometimes readers see that their input is important. And so, I guess it's kind of like a loyalty where, they're more likely to want to buy your books and even tell other people about your books because of that.
No,
but it is definitely my most popular blog.
That's fantastic. And what about some of your other blogs? What else are you blogging about?
Well, on being an author blog, I tend to just say more of what I'm working on, and the progress, or even maybe some insights into how writing and publishing works, if anyone's interested. And then I'm a co-administrator of a self-published Authors Lounge blog. And that's where I and a couple other authors go in, and it's geared towards writers and helping writers. And if they have any questions, and there's a topic area where they can fill it out. If we don't know the answer, we'll try to find someone who does. But, just everything across the spectrum. And I think what's been refreshing about it, and it seems the best feedback I've gotten, is that we'll bring up topics that maybe they can't find anywhere else. It's, and one example would be, what if all the emails you get aren't positive? Well, how do you deal with it? So, I took a couple of my examples of what I've received, and, this is how I handled it. So, but, I don't find that on other author blogs. I got hate mail, because I do get hate mail. People pretty much instruct me on how I could do things better, but you have to know. And this is stuff I never was prepared for. Another thing is the dip in sales. My sales don't always go up. I have a roller coaster effect for my sales, and just mentioning that, not only the ups, but there's the downs.
Yeah, that's so important. I do try and share some of the things that happen as well. It's definitely important to share how you feel about things as well. Okay, so what about social networking sites? Because how's that gone for you?
Facebook is where most of my readers find me. And so that's why I like it the best. On my first draft blog, I have a Facebook badge on the corner, and then they can go ahead and click on it, and then they friend me. And I also have, in addition to that, and on there I do post up my WordPress on my blog when I make an entry for my first draft blog. It goes to Facebook automatically. So then they're notified when I have something new up. But I also have a Facebook author page, and for people that do like the page, I go ahead and give them a free coupon to use over at Smashwords when I have a new release out. And I also will put up a couple covers and ask people, if they prefer one or the other, or bounce off title ideas, or, just story ideas. And what's really fun is a couple of readers, and, I kind of got to think of them as friends now, because they'll read my post and they'll be like making guesses on what's going to happen next. And then, and if I'm stuck, I'll kind of, does this work, or does that, maybe something doesn't work. So I think that's where that's been helpful.
Yeah.
I use Twitter mainly to get ideas for more book promotion from other writers. Okay. Those are the two main things I use.
Yeah. And how does that, so let's go back to the kind of whole introvert thing, if you don't mind. So, you said to me that you were nervous about this, and how's that going, doing all this marketing as someone who's a bit shy?
It's a whole lot easier when people come to you than it is trying to find them. I'm the kind of person who won't go on a forum and say I have a book. the most I'll do is go onto Kindle boards and I'll have I will never mention my book. I'll have like my little book covers underneath. Now, unless there's a thread, have you written a romance book? And then I'll say, yes, I have. But otherwise, I just try to stick to whatever topic there is, because I'm not the kind of person that can go out and tell people I have a book. Like in public, I couldn't do that either. But that's why I like the Facebook page, and that's why I like the First Draft blog, because those people are coming to me, and I don't have to go find them.
Mm. No, that's exactly right. I'm the same. The whole cold calling thing, is just a nightmare.
Yeah. I could never email somebody out that I don't know with any. The only thing I send off are newsletters, but people have to sign up for it. I could never sit there and collect email addresses and then send newsletters out. That would just make me too nervous.
And yet, we've been now talking online for a couple of years. We've been aware of each other and everything. So this is fine, isn't it? Because we've, been online, just not in person. Yeah,
well, it feels like I know you, so it's not so bad. But knowing that this is going out to other people is what's making me nervous right now.
But that's what's great about blogging, don't you think? Is that actually when you do speak to people who've read your blog, they do know you in a way.
It is, and it helps a lot just to not feel so nervous about things, because you after a while you get to know people through there, and it's an easy transition. Mm. It just slowly happens, and then when you do email in person and you get to meet them, then it takes a lot of the pressure off.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, people find you, and people find me as well on my website, which means you don't have to be pushy with your marketing, do you?
No, and in fact, it's one of my pet peeves when other authors do that. Because I'll get emails from people I don't know wanting me to read their book, and most of the time it's not even a subject I'm interested in. Mm. And other times, well, this didn't happen to me, but it happened to someone I know. They wanted her to put their book information on the back, like on the end of her book. And she didn't know this person, when this person just emailed her out of the blue. But yeah, I could never do something like that. That would, it'd irritate me that someone would even think to do that. Mm.
Yeah, so, let's just talk about manners for a moment, because I get these type of things all the time. And there is an etiquette, isn't there, online? We do behave in a certain way towards each other if we know each other in some way. That's the way it should be.
Oh, I agree. And I think it's just one of those things that's built up over time, because you have to learn to trust people. Even if they're online, you don't really know enough about them and whether or not, for all you know, they could break their word. If you agree to do something for them, they agree to do something for you, and you never hear from them again. And maybe you fulfilled your part, but maybe they didn't fulfill theirs. Mm. And I'm not saying that happened to me personally, but it happened to someone else. Mm. And now it's made her shy, and she doesn't even want to do it anymore. Mm. But yeah, I think the best way, if you're going to approach somebody, is take an interest in what they're doing and get to know them as a person. Because otherwise, you start feeling like you're just a number and just another person to click off the list on, something someone else can do for you.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so, what kind of attitude do you think people need in order to be successful as an independent author like you are?
I think the key is to love what you're doing, love what you're writing, because you're going to get those days where you're going to feel like the crappiest writer ever because maybe your sales really dropped, or maybe you've gotten a couple of hate mails in a row. And if you love what you're doing, that's going to help you. But I also keep a folder of the fan mail I've gotten so I can go through it. That's my emergency folder. And I think also patience. Not everyone's going to be Amanda Hawking. They're not going to all see it within a year. For me, it's been since 2002. And so, it's just time, because it does take time to build up the relationships and the word of mouth.
Mm. No, absolutely. I totally agree with you that, even with blogging, you have to be going for a number of years before anything happens.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because my first draft blog, for the longest time, I had 30 people. Mm. And then it took about 6 to 8 months before. It was pretty consistent with like a couple hundred a day. And now it's going up, and it's slow. But yeah, it really does, and especially with blogging. I always tell people, just wait it out. Don't expect it the first couple months, because it's not going to happen then.
That's exactly right. And the same with book sales. You know, as you've seen, it's going like this, and it might be a roller coaster, but
Overall, it does. Yeah, overall, it does keep going up. I've noticed. But you do panic when it goes down.
So I just wanted to mention the hate mail thing, because, like you said, you've got a folder full of fan mail. In general, it's positive, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean what is?
Overall, the feedback and the experience is a positive one. That's only a very small amount of nasty.
Yeah, I would say about 95% is fan mail, and probably 4% is from other authors, and 1% is hate mail.
Yeah, but
it is usually, most of the time. I mean, I still hold my breath, but yeah, usually most of the time it's positive.
Yeah, but we naturally, I guess, as slightly insecure writers, focus on the negative sometimes, don't we?
Oh yeah, I'll remember the negative that's why I have to bring out the emergency folder to remind myself. Because yeah, you do, and I mean, I got like one a couple days ago, and I'm still thinking about it, even though I've gotten other positives since then. But it does.
I am exactly the same, and I think every writer is the same. And it's possibly not even hate mail, it's just something really critical that you just feel, don't you?
Right, yeah, like hearing, oh, I wanted to throw my Kindle against the wall because I didn't like what so-and-so did in the book. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to damage a Kindle, but But yeah, that sticks with you. It's like, and you just apologize, and that's all you can do. I'm not going to change. I like the way it was, so it stays. But yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Okay, so where can people find you and your books?
Well, my website is www.ruthannnordin.com, and that's RuthanNordin.
Thank you so much for your time, Ruth. That was great.
Okay, thanks, Joanna.